The Meeting by Katherine Mansfield, 1888 to 1923. We started speaking, looked at each other, then turned away. The tears kept rising to my eyes, but I could not weep. I wanted to take your hand, but my hand trembled. You kept counting the days before we should meet again. But both of us felt in our hearts that we parted for ever and ever. The ticking of the little clock filled the quiet room. Listen, I said, it's so loud, like a horse galloping on a lonely road, as loud as a horse galloping past in the night. You shut me up in your arms, but the sound of the clock stifled our hearts beating. You said, I cannot go. All that is living of me is here forever and ever. Then you went. The world changed. The sound of the clock grew fainter, dwindled away, became a minute thing. I whispered in the darkness, if it stops, I shall die. Okay, this is by Katherine Mansfield. She was a New Zealander. She's one of the most important modernist poets. Let's see, she was born and brought up in New Zealand, and about the age of something like 16 she came to London and spent some time in London. She then went back to New Zealand and then came back again to London, where she was diagnosed with tuberculosis. Let's see, she was a friend of D.H. Lawrence, Virginia Woolf, Lady Ottoline Morell. She was within the orbit of the Bloomsbury group. And she died in France aged 34, so she died very young. So what's this poem about? This poem is about separation, the separation between her and her lover. And the two are speaking to one another. It doesn't say why they're parting, but it's very clear that both of them are really upset by this and they don't want to separate, but the poem doesn't explain why. And this is clearly a very emotional experience, but it doesn't state directly what is happening. Yeah. Okay, so they are both really upset about this, and this is where they meet for the last time, and it's very clear that they care for each other. And they are both sad about this separation, yeah, and they don't want to separate, but it feels like they're never going to meet again. So we started speaking, looked at each other, then turned away. So they started speaking, and then they looked at each other, and then they looked away. This is already showing us the poignancy of this situation. The tears kept rising to my eyes, but I could not weep. So I wanted to cry. I felt like crying, but I couldn't cry. I think maybe she couldn't process the situation. I wanted to take your hand, but my hand trembled. So she's so nervous, she's so upset that her hand is trembling. Yeah, and she wanted to hold her lover's hand. You kept counting the days before we should meet again. So clearly her lover wants them to meet again. Her lover doesn't want to be separated, and neither does she. Yeah, and her lover is counting the days before they meet again. But both of us felt in our hearts that we parted forever and ever. So, in theory, they're supposed to meet again, but they both realise, they both feel the reality is that this parting is going on forever. The ticking of the little clock filled the quiet room. This is a lovely image. Tick, 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 tick. Yeah, it's like the time that they have left together is ticking down. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. And it's going, and the relationship is finishing, and these are the last few moments. And this is a really upsetting thing for her. Listen, I said, it is so loud, like a horse galloping on a lonely road, as loud as a horse galloping past in the night. Okay, so I love this simile, like a horse galloping on a lonely road. Yeah? As loud as a horse galloping past in the night. So I think this horse on the lonely road, that is each of them are going to be on a lonely road. Each of them is going to be alone, and they're going to miss each other so much. And the sound of this clock, tick tock, tick tock, yeah, it's beating away their time. Yeah, as loud as a horse galloping past in the night. So yeah, they now will be strangers. They won't be together. The closest they'll get is just knowing that the other one is there, knowing that the horse is galloping past. You shut me up in your arms. So they hugged each other again. They were hugging because they clearly love each other. But the sound of the clock stifled our hearts beating. So the clock ticking down, it's suffocating everything. It's suffocating their hearts. They know that the time is running out. The sands of time are running out. Tick, 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 it's going. And they're never going to meet again. You said, I cannot go. I can't leave. All that is living of me is here forever and ever. So her lover says, if I leave, everything of me that is alive will remain here. If I leave, then I am going to die inside. Yeah, all of the living part of me is with you. Then you went. So, it doesn't say why, but clearly they don't want to. The world changed. So yeah, now the world is different. The sound of the clock grew fainter. So all that's left in her mind is the echo, the memories of this love. Dwindled away, became a minute thing. So this is what happens with memory. Something that's gone forever. You remember it, but the memory normally gets weaker and weaker. I whispered in the darkness, if it stops, I shall die. So clearly she is in darkness without her lover. And she can still remember it, but the memory is dwindling, is disappearing. And if it disappears completely, she says that she feels she will die. She will die inside. So, enough. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon. Bye for now. The Meeting by Katherine Mansfield.